Hey, it's Tara, your yoga bestie, and I'm really excited about our class today because we are moving into the second of the 8 limbs of yoga, which is the niyamas, but we'll get to that in a moment. We're not using any props in particular, but if you like to have blocks or whatever else makes your practice feel more comfortable, please be sure to have those with you. We're starting our practice from a reclined space, but you can check in with your breath wherever you like, seated, child's pose, whatever's calling your name. So make your way there. Got our buddy Lionel here. And as you make your way into your space, just check in, settle in, maybe by wiggling into that space. And once you feel like you've found your spot, go ahead and close your eyes as we start to tap into our Ujjayi breath. So inhaling and exhaling through the nose. Taking this time to connect with our breath, it'll be our energy source throughout our practice. So as we inhale, feeling the space right below the navel start to lift. As it draws upward, we're going to feel an expansion through our bellies, the side bodies, the rib cage, and our breath draws all the way up to where it lifts the collarbones. And then our exhalation, we're going to feel our belly button draw in towards the spine, allowing us to use all 3 parts of the lungs. Our Ujjayi breath is an audible breath, so you're going to hear snoring like sound in the back of the throat, kind of like you're fogging up a mirror with your nose. So be able to hear your breath. It's going to help you remember to breathe at the same time. But while you're tuning in, as I mentioned, we're into the niyamas, which is the second of the 8 limbs of yoga. The niyamas are more of the inner practices or self-relationship. So the yamas have to do with the outside world. The niyamas have to do with you. And ni kind of sounds like me, so it's a great way to remember the difference. The first of those is Saucha, which translates to cleanliness or clarity, but we're using it as I create clarity. And our focus this week is clearing mental clutter. So we're clearing what's unnecessary, reducing the internal noise by allowing us to bring in breath and movement, and creating space for clarity. So sometimes clarity doesn't come from figuring out more. Sometimes it comes from making just a little bit more space. Let's see if we can create some space today. On our next inhale, let's find a nice full body stretch. So you can extend the arms up overhead, you can extend your legs out in front of you. Any other movement that feels good at this time, maybe moving the head from side to side, maybe making some rotations, the wrists, the ankles, saying hello to your body. And then we'll bring our hands together at our heart center, our Anjali Mudra, as we set our intention for our practice, which might be Saucha, or I create clarity by letting go of the mental clutter, or maybe something else comes to mind that speaks to you in this moment. Please honor that. And we'll take a big breath in here. Exhale, let it go. And from here, we'll bring our knees into our chest, giving them a nice big squeeze, maybe rocking along the spine, just kind of checking out how your body feels today. Nice. And then we'll go ahead and lower those soles of the feet on the mat. We're going to create a figure 4 shape with the legs. So you might gently press to the inside of that knee just for a moment, letting the outer hip know that it's going to get a little bit of attention. And then reach the left leg up towards the sky or the ceiling, wherever you are. And we're going to keep that figure 4 shape as we bring the arms down by our sides. We'll extend that leg out in front of us to hover. And then we're going to bring that knee in without the use of hands, just see if we can get a little bit more sensation in the hip. And then we let those legs fall over towards the left. And then over towards the right. An option to keep this left foot lifted, or you can lower it down. So totally up to you. And we're going to move through these movements just a few times on our own. So we take it to center. We extend that leg up. We extend out in front of us to a hover. And then we draw it in, and then it goes to the left and to the right. Next time that you bring it over towards the right, go ahead and bring the legs back in, and we're going to roll up to a seated position. Keeping that figure 4, we'll come into a forward fold where we'll take a big breath in. Exhale. And then let's make our way upright. Move into a horizon lunge. So let that foot face the other direction or the side of the mat. And we're going to lift up that hip like we're creating a rainbow shape. And we'll just lift and lower from here just a few times. Next time we're lifted, hold it, breathing into that outer hip. Inhale. Exhale, lower the hand down. We face the back of the mat as we move into our first down dog of the practice. So feel free to bicycle the legs out. Whatever else might feel good to warm up in this first down dog. Big breath in. Exhale. And then on our inhale, lift up that right leg. We'll bring our knee into our nose, and then we're going to create that same figure 4 shape with the legs, only in our down dog. So you can always have a bend in that knee as you bring your chest towards your thigh, tail draws up. Couple breaths as we inhale. Exhale. Big breath in. On your exhale, swivel your right hip down. So we'll lift up that left arm as we hover the seat. So I call this a figure 4 side plank. And then we just lower it all the way down. So we're facing the front of the mat again. And we'll set up for a reverse table from here. So push into the mat with that left foot as you lift up the hips, keeping your gaze straight ahead, up at the ceiling, or you could drop that head back. One more big breath in here. Exhale, we'll lower that seat and we extend that left leg out, and then we bring the sole of the right foot to the inner thigh of this leg so that we can then bring our right hand to the outside, coming into a supported wild thing. So we lift up those hips, and then from this space, we can move that foot right behind our knee. So we have a nice foundation to lift up the torso for our gate pose, reaching that right arm up and over. Really working those shoulders back as you open up through the chest. Big breath in. As we exhale, cartwheel your hands to the back of your mat, and we'll roll to the outside of that left foot as we find a side plank. So we can always bring that left knee down and lift up the right leg. We can stack or bring one in front of the other. Maybe you start to work that top leg to where that knee is drawing in towards your chest. You're going to feel a lot of core engagement here. Big breath in. Exhale. Step that right foot all the way to the back of your mat, and then walk to the long edge of your mat for our wide forward fold, Pasarita Padottanasana. So lots of different variations you can go into from here. You might walk your hands underneath. You might reach for your ankles or the sides of your feet. You could also create 90-degree angles, maybe playing with lifting those heels up, feeling that lift as you start to stack. This is what gets us prepared to go into an inversion, like our tripod headstand here. One more big breath in. Exhale. And then we'll come onto our fingertips and our flat back. We face the front as we lower the back knee down and come into our supported exalted. So right arm is up, left arm is down as we come into this space. Take a big breath in here. Exhale, hands cartwheel down. As soon as you plant the hands, find that plank pose, super strong, really spreading through the fingers nice and wide. And then as we exhale, we'll lower onto our bellies for 5, 4, 3, 2, on 1. We make our way down, tops of the feet coming into the mat. Hands are underneath the shoulders as we inhale, lifting up Cobra Pose or Bhujangasana. Exhale, we lower. And we'll start to move through these at the pace of our breath. Feel free to change up anything. I like to come on my fingertips in a wide stance and then bring in those shoulder dips. Next time the forehead lowers, let's go ahead and make our way into our down dog, lifting up those hips nice and high. We'll take a big breath in. Exhale. Softening those knees, we gaze forward as we walk or float to a seated position. And let's make our way back onto our backs. We'll go into our left side with that figure 4. So we can place that left ankle at the right knee, maybe gently pressing to the inside of it. Just giving it a little bit of a warm up. Before we reach our right leg up this time, arms can come down by our sides, and then we extend those legs out in front of us. We bring that knee in, getting a nice stretch at the outer hip, and then the legs can fall over towards the right, and then they can fall over towards the left. Option to keep that right foot lifted or keep it lowered. We bring it back to center where we extend that leg up. We reach it out in front of us. Knee draws into chest. And then we twist to the right. We twist to the left. We come back to center. Right leg lifts. We reach it out in front of us. Knee draws in. And the legs go over towards the right. And then over towards the left. And then let's bring it back to center. We'll rock it up to seated. And we'll come into that forward fold so we can frame that leg and just let the head relax once you find your space here. Big breath in. Exhale. And then we'll make our way upright, coming into that horizon lunge towards the right side. So we'll lift up as we reach that arm overhead and then lower. And just start to move through this at the pace of your breath. Next time you're lifted, hold it here. Breathing into that outer hip. And then we lower that left hand down as we step it back into our down dog. From our down dog, lift up your left leg as you inhale. Exhale, knee draws the nose. And then we'll find that figure 4 down dog, bringing that ankle above the thigh. You can always have that soft bend at the knee. Bring your chest closer towards the thigh if that's helpful. One more breath in. Exhale. And then swivel that left hip down to a hover as we reach the right arm up. So we're coming into this figure 4 side plank before we lower our seat all the way down. Yes. And then we're coming into our reverse table. So push into that right foot to lift up the hips, keeping your gaze straight ahead, up at the ceiling, or maybe you're dropping that head back if that feels okay in the neck. Big breath in. Exhale, lower the seat. Extend through that leg and bring that left foot to the inside of the thigh. We're moving into that supported wild thing. So left hand comes down. We lift up those hips, swing that foot back, and then lift up the torso, coming into our gate pose. One more breath in. Exhale, cartwheel your hands to the back. Side planks, we're going to roll the outside of the right foot. Find your version. It might be different than the first side. And maybe we're lifting up the top leg to bring that knee in towards our chest. Keep pushing the floor away as you lift up. Big step to the back with that left foot. And then walk to the long edge of your mat for your wide forward fold, Pasarita. And maybe you find some movement this time. Maybe you decide to play, so you can start to work those knees onto the triceps. Maybe you bring those knees together, finding your tripod headstand if that's in your practice. Totally up to you. Let's take a full exhale. And then we come onto the fingertips in that flat back. We face the front of our mat, lowering that left knee down as we come into our supported exalted. So left arm is up, right arm is down here. Big breath in. Exhale, cartwheel those hands down. As soon as the hands plant, push into the mat to bring that foot to meet for plank pose, where we'll lower with muscle, maybe hovering this time, chaturanga. Inhaling cobra or maybe up dog if you're ready. And we'll exhale into our down dog, lifting up those hips. Big breath in. Exhale, softening the knees. We'll gaze forward as we either walk or float to the front of our mat. Inhale, we lengthen. Exhale, forward fold. We'll stay in our forward fold, and we'll separate our feet about hip distance apart, which is about 2 fists in between the feet, but it could also be wider than that. You might reach for opposite elbows. You might bring the arms behind the back. You might walk the hands from side to side. Just kind of see what's going on in the body. Big breath in. Exhale. And we'll release whatever arm variation we have. We can bring those feet in closer to one another as we roll it up. Bring those shoulders up, back and down. Inhale, arms reach, gaze lifts. Exhale, forward fold so we can swan dive or bring the hands through the heart. Inhale, we lengthen halfway. Exhale, plant your hands. Keep your gaze forward as you step or float it back. Lowering or hovering. Inhaling into your cobra or up dog. Exhaling into your down dog. Full breath in here. Exhale, soften the knees, gaze forward as you step or float to the front. Inhale, we lengthen. Exhale, forward. Let's reverse. We'll reach it up and back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, we lengthen. Hands plant, gaze stays forward as we step or float it back. Moving through the vinyasa, or you can always skip it going from plank pose to down dog. One more, we breathe in. Exhale, softening those knees, we gaze forward as we step or float to the front. Inhale, we lengthen. Exhale, forward. Let's reverse, reach it up and back. Exhale, forward. Inhale. Exhale, plant the hands as you make your way to your down dog, however you want to get there, or any resting position of choice. How you doing? That's our warm-up for today, so really great work. If you're new to my class, that's not what you want to hear, but let me make it better. Our warm-up has almost every pose that we do in our practice. I do 2 main sequences, which I call peanut butter and jelly. We do peanut butter 3 times, jelly 3 times, and at the end, we bring them together for one very delicious peanut butter and jelly sequence sandwich. So, that being said, we're starting from down dog. So get your drink of water or whatever you have. It's a crapshoot right now. We will meet in down dog, and we're practicing Saucha. So we're creating clarity by clearing out the mental clutter. All right, let's go there. So from our down dog, inhale, right leg lifts. Exhale, we bring our knee to nose as we plant that foot in between our hands, and we lift up into warrior 3. So we're picking up that back leg. I'm going to ask that you bring your hands behind your back if that's a good option for you. It just makes it easier as we move into the next pose, but if it's not, no worries there. Find your version. Keep lifting up through that right quad muscle. Inhale. Exhale, big bend in the knee. Soft landing for warrior 1 leg, so we ground down through that back foot. Hands come behind the back if they weren't already. We'll inhale, lifting up through our chest, our heart. Exhale, humble warrior. So bring both shoulders to the inside of this knee, and then let your head relax so chin can draw in as we have a nice long neck here. Big breath in. Exhale, stay low, but release those hands, and then come into your side plank. So all the same options as before. We can stack feet, we can bring one in front of the other, we can lower the left knee down. Maybe we play with options from here. We can always go into a tree pose, can bring that knee in. Maybe we take our yogic toe hold if that's in our practice. And then we're bringing that foot all the way to the front. So if you have that yogic toe hold, you can just set it down at the front of your mat, or you're bringing that foot forward, and then we find our wide forward fold. So we have the options like coming into an inversion. The biggest aspect of coming into an inversion is creating 90-degree angles with the arms. And I'm talking about tripod headstand. So if I'm facing the side and I'm moving into it, you can see that my fingertips are about in line with my toes. And as I shift forward and lift up those heels, I can feel that lift in my abdominals that creates a lightness. I'm at the same time pushing into the mat, so there's not a bunch of heaviness or weight on my head, but there's going to be some. And it's really important that you create these 90-degree angles so that you have those elbows straight back. That's why it makes it a little bit easier to climb. So this is a good starting point, but the more that you bring the legs together, the more strength you're going to have. So see if you can bring those knees together and then reach those legs up from that space. That is going to be the easiest way to come into for tripod headstand. Try it at a wall if you're not sure. You just really have to shift forward. That's why you want to start to play with lifting up those heels so you can start to feel that lift in the abdominals. But if it's not happening today, there's so many different options from here. And once we can pick up the pace, we won't be here very long anyway. So we'll take one more big breath in. Exhale. Inhale, come onto your fingertips. Exhale, face the back. Right knee lowers as we come into that exalted warrior. So right arm is up, left arm is down. Big breath in here. And then as we exhale, cartwheel those hands down. And we go right into our other side. So left leg lifts. Exhale, bring that foot all the way through warrior 3. When releasing those fingers, if possible, the unusual way, because most likely you went the way you gravitate towards the first side. Trying to work that weight forward, so coming out of the heel and towards the ball mound of the foot. Big breath in. Exhale, bend that knee a lot, landing that back leg to where we come into warrior 1 legs. Inhale, lift up through the chest and gaze, hands are behind the back. Exhale, coming into your humble warrior. Both shoulders come to the inside. Try to work that left hip towards the center line so we're not, we're not being cheeky about it. Take one more breath in. Exhale, we'll release, staying low. And we come into our side plank by lifting up the left arm this time. And we have all those different options. If you played around with that yogic toe hold, maybe you see what happens there. Big breath in. Exhale, step it to the back of the mat. And then walk to that wide forward fold. And maybe you're walking your hands through, really starting to bring your gaze up towards the ceiling as you play with those heels lifting. Maybe you're reaching for those ankles or the sides of the feet. You can even start to bring those feet onto the hands for a little bit tighter of a grip. Maybe using those bicep muscles. Big breath in. Exhale. Inhale, coming onto your fingertips and that flat back. Exhale, face the front of your mat. Left knee lowers. Left arm reaches up as we come into that exalted warrior. Big breath in. Exhale, cartwheel it down. And we'll start to pick up the pace on this. So right leg lifts as we inhale. Exhale, bring it through the center. Inhale, warrior 3. Exhale, step it back. Inhale, chest lifts. Exhale, humble warrior. We'll release those hands so that we can inhale, coming into our side plank. Maybe bringing that knee up. Exhale, step it forward. And then come into that wide forward fold. Inhale, we lengthen. Exhale, face the back. Right knee is down. Right arm is up. And then we bring those hands all the way to the back. One-legged down dog, left leg lifts. Exhale, knee to nose. Plant that foot. Warrior 3. Inhale. Exhale, step it back for warrior 1. Inhale, chest lifts. Exhale, humble warrior. We stay low as we release. We inhale, side plank, left arm lifts. Maybe that knee draws in. Exhale, step it to the back. And then walk it into that prasarita. We'll inhale, lengthening halfway. Exhale, face the front. Supported, exalted, left arm is up. Exhale, we cartwheel it down. One-legged down dog. We bring it through. Warrior 3. Exhale, step it back. Inhale, chest lifts. Exhale, humble. We release those hands so that we inhale, side plank. Right arm is up. Exhale, step that right foot to the front as we come into that wide stance. Inhale, we lengthen. Exhale, exalted to the back. And then we cartwheel those hands down. Left leg lifts. Exhale, we'll bring it through. Inhale, warrior 3. Exhale, step it back. Inhale, chest lifts. Exhale, humble. We'll release it as we inhale, side plank. Exhale, bring that left foot to the front. Wide forward fold. Inhale, we lengthen. Exhale, we face the front. Exalted. And then we cartwheel it down, and we can make our way to down dog or any resting position of choice. How you doing? That's our peanut butter today. So you know what that means? That means it's time for some jelly. And when it's time for some jelly, you know it's already been so smooth because you've gone so far. So get what you need. Check in. We're meeting in down dog again. I know. It's good. I like it. And yeah, what are we doing? We're creating clarity. What are we clearing out? That mental clutter. Let's get rid of it. In yoga, we call that the chitta. And although chitta happens, we're trying to get rid of it. So let's make our way to down dog with a lot of enthusiasm because you're doing amazing. So down dog. Right leg lifts as we inhale. Exhale, knee draws to nose, and then we create that figure 4 down dog. So again, we can soften that knee as we bring our chest towards our thigh. Taking a big breath here. As we exhale, swivel the right hip down, left arm reaches up, and then we lower it down, coming into our setup for that reverse table with our figure 4 legs. So we'll inhale, lifting up. Exhale, we lower. We release the legs so that that sole of the right foot's to the inner thigh for that supported wild thing. So we lift it up, move that foot back. So we lift up the torso, reaching that right arm overhead, working those shoulders back as we take a big breath in. Exhale, gaze towards the back of your mat. Plant your foot, half moon. So haven't even talked about the blocks today, but maybe you have a block there or something similar for your left hand as you open it up here. Really flexing through that foot, opening up as you stack shoulder on top of shoulder. Inhale. Exhale, step it back. One-legged down dog, another infinity flow. Exhale, knee to nose. And then we find that figure 4 down dog, working our chest back so that you feel that opening. Big breath in. Exhale, swivel that left hip down so right arm is up. And then we lower our seat, facing the front. We inhale into that reverse table. Exhale, we lower. And then we release those legs, setting up for our supported wild thing. And then we bring that foot back so that we can lift up into gate pose, reaching that left arm overhead towards the front of the mat. Big breath in. Exhale, gaze the front of your mat. Plant that foot, half moon. Opening up by reaching through that heel. Spreading through the toes. Yeah. One more big breath here. Exhale, we step it back. One-legged down dog. We'll pick up the pace, knee to nose. And then we find that figure 4. Inhale. Exhale, swivel that right hip down, left arm is up. And then we lower our seat. Inhale, reverse table. Exhale, we lower. Release those legs so that we can inhale, left arm is up. And then we reach that arm up and over for gate. Exhale, gaze the back. Plant that foot as we inhale, half moon. Exhale, making our way to our one-legged down dog. Knee to nose, figure 4. Inhale. Exhale, swivel that left hip down, right arm is up. And then we lower to our seat. Inhale, reverse table. Exhale, lower. Set up those legs as we inhale. Supported version of our wild thing, lifting all the way up, left arm up and over. And then we plant this foot halfway. Big inhale. Exhale, step it back. Right leg lifts. Knee to nose. Figure 4, we inhale. Exhale, swivel that right hip down. And then we're seated facing the back. Inhale, reverse table. Exhale, we lower. Setting up for that supported wild thing. And then we lift up the torso. Right arm reaches up and over towards the back. We gaze the back. Plant that foot. Half moon. And then we step it all the way back. Left side, left leg lifts. Knee to nose. Figure 4. Swivel that left hip down. Lower your seat. You're facing the front. Inhale, reverse table. Exhale. Release as we inhale. Supported wild thing. Bring that foot back. Then we lift up that torso. Left arm comes over. We gaze the front. Plant that foot. Half moon. And then we step it back, making our way to our down dog or any resting position of choice. Guess what? You made it. You made it to my favorite part of the practice, and I couldn't be more excited for you. It's peanut butter and jelly time. So we're bringing these two together one last time. Are you ready? Get what you need. Give yourself a pep talk. You've done it all before. Just one more time. You got this. Let's meet in our down dog. Yeah, because we're creating clarity. What are we creating clarity on? We're getting rid of that mental clutter, that's for sure. So from our down dog, inhale, right leg lifts. Exhale, we bring it through. Inhale, warrior three. Arms come behind the back. Exhale, big step back. Warrior one legs as we inhale. Exhale, humble warrior. We stay low as we release and we find our side plank. Right arm is lifted. Exhale, step that right foot to the front and come into that wide stance. We come onto those fingertips and we face the back for our exalted. So right arm is up, left arm is down. We cartwheel it to the front. Left leg lifts. Knee to nose, figure four. Inhale. Exhale, swivel that left hip down. Right arm is up. And we come onto our seat facing the front. Inhale, reverse table. Exhale, we lower, setting up for that supported wild thing to our gate. And then we gaze the front, plant that foot, half moon. And we can move through a vinyasa if we like. It's just been a bit, or you can go right to down dog. Either way, the first side is done. Left leg lifts. Exhale, we bring it through. Warrior three. Big bend in that knee for soft landing for warrior one legs as we inhale. Exhale, humble warrior. We release, staying low, side plank. We can bring that knee in as we take a big step to the front, and then we move into our wide forward fold. Inhale, we lengthen. Exhale, we face the back for supported exalted. And then cartwheel those hands down. Right leg lifts, knee to nose. Figure four down dog as we inhale. Exhale, swivel that right hip down. And then we lower our seat, facing the front. Inhale, reverse table. Exhale, we lower, setting up our legs for that supported wild wing where we bring that foot back. And then we lift up for that gate pose, reaching that right arm overhead. Exhale, gaze the front, plant that foot, half moon. And then we have the option of going back to our down dog however we want, which is our final down dog of the practice. Because you did it. Amazing work. Amazing. So we'll find our way to a seated position where we're slowing our breath down. We have a huge smile on our face because, we did it. We did it. So much. We did so much in such a little bit of time. So you should feel so, so proud of yourself. And as you come into the space, slow down the breath. Maybe close the eyes down. And this is a good space to check in to see if there's anything else that you want upright. Maybe you stay here and just finish in more of a meditative sit. Or if you want to make your way onto your back in a reclined space, either to work on some poses there or come into your Savasana, because that's where we're going to be coming into next, please do so. And as you make your way into your final space, take a moment to have so much gratitude for what you've just done, so much gratitude for showing up to your mat, and so much gratitude for this feeling that you created through those things, and only you can. So be proud of yourself and know that I'm so proud of you. And let your breath be soft and your body still. Shavasana. As always, please stay here as long as you like. If you're ready to make your way out, we'll come to a seated position. All together, we'll bring our hands to heart center in our Anjali Mudra, tucking our chin under. And I want to thank you so very much for joining me in class today. It's always a true honor to be able to guide you and to share this practice with you and the niyamas, saucha, allowing yourself to create a clearing of that mind clutter. And until next time, namaste.